Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Book Club. This week we're going to be looking at an historical fiction by Bernard Cornwell. It's not the Sharp series, it's one of his other ones, one that I found particularly interesting when I was a 15-year-old and first came across it. It's the Arthurian Chronicles, Book 1, and it's The Winter King. I first came across this book when I was 15, and at the time I was heavily into science fiction, so reading it was quite a change of pace for me. It's a retelling of part of the myths of King Arthur of Camelot, only with a very heavy spin on it. Arthur is no king here, Merlin is no wizard, and Camelot does not exist. Instead, we are presented with Britain in the 5th century AD, a land where the retreat of the Romans has left the natives fighting amongst themselves, while the Saxon invasion threatens to destroy their way of life completely. This is a book by the widely acclaimed historical fiction writer Bernard Cornwell, whom you will probably know from his Sharp series. As with the Sharp novels, this is a book with a huge number of characters, so many that the novel comes with a cast of characters and a brief breakdown of their relationships in case you get lost, and you will. The relationships twist and turn with each new change in events, and the end result is something that is both immensely complex and also very realistic. Moreover, there are so many twists and turns to this story as the political situation gets more tense that you could be forgiven for thinking this is mostly a lesson in political intrigue in Dark Ages Britain, because in many ways it is. This is as much a story of Britain as it is of Arthur, and that only helps to make the story come to life even more. It also helps that Cornwell has spent a great deal of time researching life in Dark Ages Britain. His descriptions of how people lived in the 5th century have garnered a great deal of praise, which I feel makes this novel all the more interesting. Bernard Cornwell is a fantastic writer, and he brings the dark and dangerous world of post-Roman Britain to life with both his descriptions of the events in Arthur's day and also with his regular leaps forward in time to present us with an aged protagonist near the end of his life who is chronicling his recollections of Arthur for a queen in a Britain that is somewhat different to the one he grew up in. It's a very interesting way of showing just how much the country would change even in the life of one person. If you're expecting the usual style of Arthurian tale, you will be disappointed. Cornwell's novel, the first in a trilogy that I can't recommend enough, presents us with a version of the Arthurian myth that you can almost believe actually happened. Merlin is depicted as a cunning man who uses the faiths and superstitions of others to bend them to his will, not always successfully, while Arthur is not a king but a warlord. He's beloved by some and hated by others because his skill in battle is matched only by his willingness to be led by his penis more than his brain. In essence, he's far more like a warrior king of this era would have been than the chivalric knight he is often portrayed as in legends. I mentioned earlier that this is the first in a trilogy, and that's definitely the case. This is a complete story in many ways, yes, but it's most definitely not the end of the whole tale. Cornwell set out to write 3 novels in this setting, and there are several plot threads left hanging at the end. When the book first came out, I had to wait months before the next installment was published, which I recall being immensely frustrating. That's how good this book is. I wanted to know what happened next from the minute I got to the last page. So I think, if you try it, you'll find a lot here to like, but just remember to order the next book while you're reading it, because it will leave you wanting more. Okay, so there you are. I think this is one of his better series, actually. It's a very interesting set, and I remember at the time I had to go out and get the audiobook just so I could listen to it again, rather than having to sit down and read the book, because I had this thing where I didn't go back and read books at the time. I thought, there are too many books, I've got to get through lots more, rather than reread ones I've already read. But I got the audiobook and thoroughly enjoyed it, to the point where I think one of the tapes is probably worn out by now. But anyway, this is a really good book, and we will be looking at the other 2 in the trilogy as well. So do remember to come back and have a look at those when we do them. But until next time, because that is really all we've got time for this week, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did like this. And if you did, remember to click the like button, share it with your friends out there. You know a good book when they see it. And do subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching the Monday Book Club, and I'll see you later.